All right. Good afternoon, guys. We're here with our agent mindset. I know we have a few more people going to be joining us a little later, but wanted to get started in respect for everybody's time. Today, we're going to be talking about managing contingencies, marketing and business plan. I know that we briefly touched on that last week, but I really feel that's a great subject going into the new calendar year, kind of putting together a plan for that. And then client appreciation, getting in front of the clients a little more, doing some type of appreciation. So today we're going to start with managing contingencies. I know, at least in our market, 3 months ago, having even one contingency kind of puts you in the rabbit hole and not really in the front runner for a lot of offers. But now recently I've wrote 2 offers that had contingencies, and we're able to push them through. But so how are we handling contingencies? At what point in time are you guys having those conversations? And not knowing your different markets, are you getting a lot of contingencies right now or not? How's it look from the buyer side, the seller side? I know us, myself personally, I know Brad does it. When I'm talking to buyers, we're definitely talking about contingencies very early on. And one of my biggest things is I never advise to waive the home inspection contingency. I kind of feel like the home inspection is one that kind of protects the buyer a lot of times, and we've talked about it in past meetings. But I'd like to hear what you guys are doing for contingencies. Are you guys getting a lot of them? Are you, having them waive appraisal contingencies, things like that? And then what's your workaround for home sale contingencies? So just kind of want to open it up a little bit.
So on the home sale contingency, what I was doing and actually having some good luck with was using the fact that we had a contingency as something that would give them a little bit more time and maybe make them be able to allow a post possession. Trying to remember how I had one in February that we used that for, and it got accepted. But yeah, it was basically because there was a contingency. We had a little bit longer time frame to sell. It helped her give her a little bit more time to find what she was looking for the seller that we were buying their house.
Gotcha.
So you had the buyer on that one, Stephen? Then?
I had the buyer, yeah.
And you had a home sale contingency for the buy, and that benefited you because the seller they needed to go buy and it gave them more time. Is that
correct?
What you're saying? Yeah, I've had a few that worked out really well in a few instances. It just takes the right timing on that, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's a good strategy. What other techniques can you guys think of that you've used to sneak a home sale contingency in there or get around one, still get your offer accepted?
I know, we've pushed a little bit of HELOC loans for people to kind of hopefully like offset the home sale contingencies. And it's worked a little bit. It's tough because not everybody has a lot of, may not have $300,000 in home equity that they can pull out. So it gives them a little bit of leverage for maybe a larger down payment or a larger, escrow earnest money, so that there's a little bit more of a commitment there, right? If you're putting down more money in earnest, that's a huge commitment level, saying, hey, I am interested in doing this. So maybe another workaround could be just higher earnest money put forth.
Right. And I have somewhere I had a thing that was like 10 ways to get around a home sale contingency. I'll try and remember to find it. If I can find it, still share that. It was things like you guys just said. It was one of the ones I remember was, with temporarily pulling money out of your 401k. And then, or if you could do a finance, but you wanted to put more money down, go ahead and buy it with whatever down payment you have. And then most banks, without doing an official without doing an official another refinance right away, they'll just do a recalculation, like where you can get an extra 50 grand from them when your home did close. You put that extra 50 into your payment, and they'll actually do a recalculation to redo your payment amount. So some of the lenders will do that too. So there's a couple different things there. Anything else as far as that? This is overall managing contingencies. Obviously, home sale contingencies is one of those. How have things changed with contingencies? So inspections, there's another one. How have inspections changed for you guys since the market's shifted a little bit? And I realize it hasn't shifted completely in all aspects. We definitely still have some very, very competitive multi-offer situations, but there's definitely been a shift with more inventory being available. So how has home inspections changed? Probably the easy one.
I'm not seeing as like all these you have to buy it as is situations. I mean, even in multiple offers, it's not, hey, we'll buy it as is. And sometimes, my seller has gone as far as saying, oh, we want to sell it as is, and the buyer's like, no, I'm not doing it. And the seller's like, okay, we'll accept your offer still. So there's not, I guess it's different in each market, but our contract's pretty solid on like, you can ask for this, you can't ask for this. So, typically there's not a lot of crazy requests even in kind of a buyer's market, but at least as is, and no one's waiving home inspections anymore. So.
Ryan, I got a question for you because you're an attorney state. We're not.
Yeah.
Not super familiar with attorney state. Regarding those types of things, as far as defects and the inspection stuff, where's the line? Is there a line there between what you guys do and how much the attorney's involved with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it depends on, the agent a little bit, right? Because I'll walk through the inspection report with my clients and be like, here's what I think. The inspector, it's pretty, like I said, clear cut. Like in our contract, it's like, the inspection focusing on this, it's got to be a health safety issue or something that's actually broken. Sure. And then it outlines things like if you request like this kind of stuff, the seller can just cancel the contract unilaterally without giving you warning. So that really limits like just little minor things coming up. So typically I'll like say, hey, here's what I think, what do you think, based on what the inspector says. And then we put that list together, but then the attorney kind of sends the official requests out through an attorney review letter. And then, me and the agent may negotiate it, and then the other attorney will respond. Right. It's typically how that goes. But then they have like an attorney review period where like they'll also try to make changes to the contract and stuff or define things. Yep. So they put it all in one letter.
Right. So and inspections is definitely one of those where, Vince mentioned at the beginning, I think all of the stuff, whether it's your seller consultation or your buyer consultation, these are the things that I don't know about you guys, but I kind of go through the whole, here's the various processes. I talk contingencies to both. Yeah. Obviously your conversation is a little different, but the same. With inspections, the buyer, I'm saying like, hey, when it comes that time, we find your home and we get into inspection period, kind of like you said, and it's in our contract, it defines it. We are looking for health and safety defects, not the trim's a little scratched up from their dog type stuff. I mean, that's wear and tear. Explaining the differences there, and to the seller, explaining like, here's what we're looking for that I'm going to tell you right now are probably acceptable requests from the buyer and what it's not. A little bit of a reverse, but I think a consultation is a great spot that you can do that, because then later, if they start asking or trying to ask for stuff that's a lot outside of that, you can kind of give them that whole, remember that talk we had and you were okay with that kind of conversation. So it just eases it a little bit. How have you seen shifts in appraisal contingencies? Anyone?
That's one where I'm like, we don't really have a specific, people aren't waiving the appraisal anymore. But our contract is kind of set up where there's not like an option of like, oh, we're waiving the appraisal or whatever. Like what we were seeing was addendums where people are like, we will pay this much up to, 10,000, whatever, over the appraisal price if it comes in low. So
Yeah.
our shift is just, we're not seeing that. It's just a normal, offer.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything since like midsummer that was, and I wrote a few like, you couldn't, with financing, you really didn't have a choice to just waive
Yeah.
unless you just wanted to basically open up a blank checkbook to write whatever amount was deficient from the appraisal to the appraisal / your lender's guidelines and to what you're buying the house for. So I did a lot of the up to 5,000 over, 10,000 beyond if needed. The buyer will take care of, which was needed. I think it was a great negotiation tool. And in many ways it helped ease some of those, not completely against the cash buyer, but ease that confidence level of at least entertaining and being somewhat competitive against a cash offer. So I think I thought it was very useful, but yeah, I don't think I've had to do one of those since like June, which is a lot nicer. I thought you were going to talk, Ben. Sorry.
I thought mute was still on. So what about, are you guys giving like right to cures to your, Ryan being an attorney state, Stephen, and Janice, you guys give right to cure to your buyers or to your buyers? If an inspection comes back, or are you guys just using that as an opt-out saying, you know what, we have issues, we're not buying this house?
Well, in Arizona, they have that option. They can just check a box and kill the contract right then.
Yeah.
Due diligence period. So
The right to cure thing really like throws me, I guess, because like our contract, it's like you can get your inspection done, you can make requests, or if you don't want to make requests, you can just kill the deal. So it's already kind of just built in that the buyer has the option to make the request unless they buy it as is. And I guess that would be kind of what the not right to cure would be in that case, where, hey, you can do your inspection, you just can't make any requests.
mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Well, on our end, it's written in Wisconsin, it's written, you as the buyer can dictate your control when you write the contract. You either you give them right to cure. If you give them right to cure in the offer, they have the right to cure. I mean, even the majorest of defects, you can say, yeah, I want this repaired. Or if you say no, then that's your out. But if I've had it where buyers have like, I want out, like, well, unfortunately you gave the seller the right to cure. So if they're willing to, part of the contract we do, or that you could technically lose your earnest money. So, but I know there's states, and I think Stephen, yours is one of them where, God, it seems like the buyer can just like, I'm out, see you later.
Yeah. I mean, they can do it pretty much. They get their earnest money back at inspection. They get a full 10 days typically, and appraisal. If they don't waive that contingency, if it doesn't appraise, then they can just not negotiate and just walk.
Yeah. So for us, we have to be very specific, and that's why I do talk about the right to cure again during the consultation, again with the sellers too, so they know what their rights are too, because we actually give pretty equal rights. But that's why it's important to look at it. The funny thing for us is that is totally how that's written, is a market thing. Back in like 2013, 14, when it was buyer's market, I never wrote any with giving the seller the right to cure. Then the market started to shift. I was only doing it on foreclosures. And then now I don't think I've written any outside of a foreclosed property that was bank owned, not giving the seller the right to cure, because then the sellers will look at that and be like, well, if I don't have right to cure, then this is a garbage offer, because you can get the inspection done, and whether there's nothing there or not, you can be like, I'm out. So that's changed with the market as well. So as this shifts back, and though I think right now we're still in the seller's market, obviously, and I think we will be for a while, this shifts back to a buyer's market. It's going to be interesting to see how those play into offers in the future.
I got one last question for the group because I think this kind of is interesting to me. What's the one contingency that, we're still seeing a lot of, or we're not, are we, if you guys got a home sale, are we still seeing a lot of do we see home sale contingencies still? If so, do you see a lot of them or not? I think that's probably one of the hardest ones. And then when you guys do get those, how do you handle them? Do you do your homework? Let's say I'm buying a property from Ryan and I have a home sale contingency on my offer. Ryan, are you pulling up my house and doing homework on my house to make sure that, my house is listed for what it should be? Looks like it's going to sell quickly. Do you guys as agents do homework on the potential home that needs to be sold? Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you just go ahead, Steven?
I look at the pricing of it. I look agent history, kind of what their track record is. Do everything I can to look out for my client on their end to make sure that they're not going to get burned in it because they may be contingent as well. So if you start stacking it up.
Yeah. I look at, how long is it on the market? How long has it been on the market? Is it a condo that they're not really selling real well, or is it gonna, but on the flip side of that, I used, and it's not as effective, but when there was multiple offers, I would, still submit a home sale and be like, look, this is $170,000 house in the best time ever to sell a house. Like, it's going to sell in this weekend. Like, you should give our offer a chance. And that worked a couple times because the agent would look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's going to sell. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really reliant on that and that you're working with a really good solid agent on the other end. But I got a few in with home sale contingencies. Right situation, right seller, talking to the right agent has to manage their client on the other end to be able to say, like you said, Riley, oh yeah, this thing's gonna be gone. This is no worries. This is your best offer. If this is your best offer, other than that, be confident that their house is going to sell because it will.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to sell quick. So then but I mean, end of the day, the cleanest offer always is the cash ones. Those are the toughest ones. That's why I like some of the lenders. I know like Guaranteed Rate came out with a product that basically is your loan's approved, and the only thing you got to worry about is it's just like appraisal to qualify the house itself that you're buying, but you as the buyer are already your loan is approved. Those made you probably as close to a cash buyer as possible. But and then here's another one I have that I put on here as far as contingencies. Well, there's two really left that, and for some of you, I don't know if you have to deal with this. We got some rural areas, so well and septics. They've actually changed our contract this year. Used to be if you didn't choose it, the well and septic inspections defaulted to the seller cost. Now it actually, if you don't strike away one or the other, it defaults to the buyer cost, which I thought was kind of an interesting change. Did you guys see any changes in that? How have those impacted deals? Kind of curious. Some of you may have to deal with it, like I said.
Yeah, in Arizona, it's default to the seller.
Yeah, ours were, but they changed it. I don't know. Never had an answer on that. Why? I have to ask Brad Loyce that this weekend when I see him. He'll know that answer.
Yeah, he will. Well,
he's our state association president, so he should know that shit.
Let's move on to the next subject, guys, just for time. And I think this is really relevant kind of moving forward. I think the last year and a half, 2 years for agents, it's been, you've been so busy, you really probably haven't had to worry about, what's coming in 3, 6, 9, 12 months. But marketing and business plan. So I'm gonna let Brad touch on this because I think he does a really good job with that, and kind of want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on, what you're doing for a business plan / marketing plan and going from there. So.
Well, I can speak very confidently that everybody on this call currently, I guarantee, has to be doing a business plan right now. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the 3 most important components of the business plan? I'll throw it out there as a quiz first.
I know the answer. It's sitting in front of me, so it's not fair. I'll give it to you, Brad. Goals. So setting goals.
Set goals.
Marketing, marketing and lead gen kind of helps you achieve those goals. And then, your day-to-day operations and procedures that's going to help get you to that end task. So those are your 3.
There it is. Now I'll group this because I know the others on this call are familiar with the Tom Ferry business plan layout. When you say goals, that would be your transactions and ratios and your financial section too, because if you set goal, you got to review the financials of what that looks like for your business. And of course, that's then going to tie into your marketing plan, and then it's going to tie into your operational plan because those things are also involved in your financials as well. So those are the 3 most important components. So number 1, the planning part and the goals and goal setting. I see a lot of variance here. Like when I talk to different agents, there's 3 ways to set your goals. And as far as agents, where they focus, there's units, volume, and gross commission. And I see it vary. Like some agents will say, well, I'm just going to set a goal to sell 30 houses, and however the numbers work from there is fine. I see some that say, well, I want to hit a volume goal. And then there's some that are like, well, no, I want to make a certain amount of money. So they look at the gross commissions. Before I go deeper in this, I guess I'll pause. Like for those of you on the call, which one do you first set your goal around? Is it units? Is it volume? Or is it money, the gross commissions?
I do mine mainly around units.
Okay.
I feel like if I hit that number, everything else kind of falls in place.
Okay.
You're gonna have some that are higher, some that are lower, and it all average out.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else different?
I'm gonna go with units also for twofolds, right? Everything's gonna average out, but also the more people you're in front of, the more people you're helping, the more chances you have of them referring you to somebody else. If you help one person sell a $10 million home, but then you helped 10 people sell $1 million home, you've got a greater reach at that point in time. So I in my eyes, units is a better number to go after.
Sure. Anybody
Right?
different?
$1 million homes.
Different? Anybody different said to go different? I'm different. So I go volume. Now I know based on volume that if I average around, then I always go 2.8% commission, I have my GCI number. The good news is if you have either one of these, you set the goal at. If you have your own average sale price and you know about what your average commission is going to be, you can get the other numbers, right? So you can reverse engineer them. It's just interesting to me, like how people do it. I knew though when I was early in my career, like Steven, you're fairly newer into your career, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I set units goal because I didn't feel like, I didn't really target specific price points like luxury or lake homes or stuff. I still don't. Actually, if somebody asks me what I target, I literally target our median sale price. Our average sale price in this area is about 300,000. There's my target. That's my target audience. I live in the median. I love it. I've been there my whole career. And I've always averaged within 10,000 of it, plus or minus every year. I'm actually more than that ahead of it this year, which is cool. And I didn't care about units. Some people, like I said, they all of a sudden make a shift in what they're targeting from a marketing perspective. Like there are people that target luxury. or have gone into the luxury. Personally, I could give two shits about luxury, but do I love selling $1 million home? Sure, of course I do. Right? Nice big commission. So I always find it interesting though, but regardless of what you do, whichever one it is, and I think it makes a lot of sense for number of units because you don't always have, you'll take anything when you're new. You'll also go geographically a hell of a lot further out typically. Like I know early in my career, hour and a half for a showing, I'll drive it, I'll do it, because now it's different markets, so it's buyer's market, so I had a better chance of writing an offer and getting it. So that's really the important thing. It's like, all right, why are we doing this? And then you have to tie your financials into it. And I'm going to give you guys today, and this is not on the agenda. And Steven, you should know this if you don't, I'm going to preach this video and smack you. What is the one thing when you're figuring out your business expenses do you think that most agents forget to calculate?
I'm going to say listings, Brad.
Gee, I wonder why you got that correct. I've looked, obviously, as a coach, I've looked at several business plans throughout the last 4 or 5 years, how long I've been a coach. And the one thing I always see missing, I'm curious, Ryan, you could admit this or not. Have you calculated your average cost per listing?
I do, yeah.
Wow, you're either really smart or your coach is awesome.
Yeah, I have my average cost per deal. So it's kind of a combined total of buyers and sellers combined.
Okay. That's a little deeper. I don't even do the buyer one, which I commend you for that, because that's time and fuel for the most part, other than buyer acquisition. Like if you're paying for referrals, but that's a cost that you should definitely factor in there. Are you going deep in factoring like hours and your other?
So I don't factor in hours, but I have like it's based off my P&L. So how much expenses I had for the month.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. Expenses for the month, how much revenue I brought in,
okay,
or how many deals I brought in, and then divide expenses by number of deals, and that's how much each deal cost me.
Okay. So simple math. Yeah. It's just I've seen a lot of agents, they don't calculate. They'll set a goal to do 20 listings. And my first question out of my mouth is, what's your average listing cost you? Because in a listing, I'm a buyer too, but obviously we don't get paid till they close, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I get it, but it's just usually less for the buyer if you break it down. But like my average listing costs about $800. So if I set a goal for, and this is just how I do it, I'm sure there's a couple other ways to do it. If I set a goal to close 20 listings in a year, that's $16,000 for the year. Then I do break it down by the month, and whatever 20,000 divided by 12 is, I calculate that in my monthly expected expenses. Now, am I going to average exactly whatever it is, 2 or 3 listings a month? No. So, but at least I can average it out for the year to say, I should expect X dollars a month in listing costs. And I see that miss so much, and it ends up being, and let's say, I don't know if it was you or not, but I know a lot of clients I coached, like Steven, where it literally sometimes was almost doubling their monthly expenses that they weren't even accounting for. And you could argue to say it might be your most important one, because you have to invest money in a listing to sell it. So that's one of the things I see missed a lot. So the goals and financials really tie in, and then financials ties into all of them that you could really go back to. Next is marketing plan and lead generation. After we got our goals, okay, well, where's this shit coming from, right? So I know for those of you that are, which everybody on this call is pretty much, the Tom Ferry world, he focuses on 4 to 6 lead sources. Top agents in the country have 4 to 6 solid lead sources that are generating business for their business. There's the core 4, which are online, sphere / past clients, open houses, and farming. I can say probably Vince and I probably target. I kind of group online together. I realize you got various online. We're probably in the 4 to 6 range. I think I break it down. FSBOs, expireds, which sometimes I classify together. Online, Sphere Pass client open houses. So I'd say we had 5. I'd count it as 5. That's our bread and butter. Now our online is expensive. Make It Rain, Property Boost, Facebook, Google ads, that can get real deep, but just classifying generally, we're about 5 lead sources that we focus on. And in fact, we were talking about this today, and we started to have a conversation on it yesterday, but one of the things him and I are working on right now is we sit down, what is it, once a week, once a month, kind of outlining what our marketing plans are for each week so we can execute. We're trying to get like some of this stuff that we know is like legitimately and regimented throughout the year. We're trying to get basically a full annual marketing plan together, like on the calendar. So it almost becomes, this kind of leads into operational stuff. It's like one of those things we don't even think about. It's just going to be kind of automated. Like, boom, this is done. And like I said, we don't even think about it. And then lead generation is the follow-up, the cold calling behind some of these marketing plans and lead sources that you're working. So those are 2 areas that I would say you got to outline. Any questions or extras that you guys want to comment on that?
I think, Brad, I'm unmuted. One key thing to, like, we talk about marketing plan, lead generation. One of the things that you mentioned that we're working towards is developing a monthly, quarterly, annual plan, what that looks like. So, we've talked about in these other mindset meetings where, you have this idea and, maybe it's postcards or farming or, consistent follow-up or things like that, but you do it great for a week, then you kind of fall off of it for, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You're like, man, I wish I would have kept up with postcards. I think the key is developing that plan and sticking to it, making it part of your schedule and saying, okay, every month I'm going to I'm going to do 4 open houses. So whatever that looks like, you're committed to 4 open houses. If you do 2 in a weekend, and you get it on your calendar, because if it's not on the calendar, we're not going to do it, right? Like family time will come up, or friends will call, whatever it might be. But once it's on the calendar, you're kind of committed to it. And the same thing with like quarterly things. I think when you're talking about that marketing plan, it's important to, write down everything you want to do and figure out how you're going to space it out over a full year, and then reevaluate it every 3 months. Say, okay, how did I do? Where am I at? What has it done for me? Has it generated anything? I've done open houses, or I've done the client appreciation events. I've done social networking, whatever that might be. But I think it's important to start now and develop that marketing plan for 2023 so that it's on paper and you kind of have time to tweak it. Because let's be honest, January 1st is going to come along. You're still going to be like, oh, what am I doing this month? Or what have I implemented? Or what haven't I implemented? So, I think it's key that you start looking at this business plan, this marketing plan today, and moving forward with it. Because it's what's going to drive your business in the next year is a consistent plan. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Go ahead.
Any other comments on that? Otherwise, he really segued us into the last critical section, because every single one of your things has to have, has to come around operations and procedures, right? From the marketing. There's certain things that probably from a marketing perspective that are very manual, so that you'll either have to do or hire somebody to do it, whether it's a assistant or some people have marketing coordinators on it that they hire. So either way, you have to have a system, but the more things you can then, through a system of some sort, automate it. Campaigns, having that buyer campaign after somebody closes it for a year, your system's telling you, hey, do your quarterly check-in or do your 1 week check-in, see how their move's going. Did you get their pizza party set? Whatever it was, whatever the things you do. Everything has to have a system, including down to then your transaction management. And that's the other time kill, right, for everybody. So how are you outsourcing that completely? There's all kinds of companies out there. Or if you're managing it, or what, we had some systems discussions next week. Is it can you run your transaction manager through your CRM, a third party company like Sisu, or completely outsource it to a company like we can use what is called Sky Transaction or something through our Sky Slope, or I can't remember some of the companies out there. Like there are third party companies that literally you can just hire. Transactly, they assign a transaction manager to you and they manage all your transactions. Granted, there's costs there, but what systems are you going to implement that will make sure that you can then focus a lot more, especially for those, unless you're out of production because you've got some massive team. But what are we? We are the CEOs, the COOs, the CMOs, the sales agent, the sales director. I'm like, if anybody needed an easy button, I think from Staples, I think that would be real estate agents, right? So, the more you can add these systems that automate the stuff for you, that makes it a heck of a lot easier too once you entertain taking on a team role. So, Ryan, are you looking to grow like as a team, or are you going to stay solo? I'm just got curiosity.
I do want to grow as a team. Yeah, I'm just trying to. It's always been a struggle, just more consistent business. But I think I'm going to start. We talked about it a couple calls with like a buyer's. You call just like a showing agent.
Showing agent.
Yeah, Showami. You introduced me to that Showami website. So
yeah. So those are all things that you have to obviously should be part of your goal setting. Should be always, all these things go immediately back to the financial plan. And Vince has a thing for like our lead sources that I like. He can go in and plug stuff into, basically it's a spreadsheet he created that's an ROI calculator. Like, okay, how many deals do we have to add at X value for what we're spending on this lead source to get the ROI? And you can actually design like what's an appropriate ROI. I'm always a fan of 4 times the spend, because once you take out your overhead, any brokerage splits, the actual cost of the lead source or whatever, like you can quickly, what gets me back down to a net profit range of 30, 40, 50%, right? Sounds greedy, but then we got to pay our damn government X amount of dollars, right? So it's like, as they say in the financial word, I want that EBITDA to be 30, 40, even 50%. Because then after all that shit then taken out and the government gets all their fair share, then what are we down to? Then we're down to maybe 20, 25%, which by the way, for most industries is amazing. So we're no different, right? So these are very reciprocal. They all fall back to, have your financial calculator set up to check all this stuff, and it helps you round the clock with everything. So questions, comments?
So just a question for, Stephen and Ryan, when you're talking about business plan, marketing plan, what do you think is your biggest struggle? Stephen, you're muted. Yep.
Sorry.
That's right.
Holding to everything that I put on.
You just muted yourself again. Or you cut yourself off when you're talking.
One of these days I'll learn Zoom. No, is holding myself to like the things that I put on the marketing plan.
Is it?
ADD kicks in sometimes, and
the what kicks in? I'm sorry.
ADD kicks in.
Is it? Let me ask you, because this is kind of what drives me to be more consistent with it. Is it just that we just get so busy we kind of brush it off to the side, some of like the small things? Or is it just that we're I hate to use the word lazy, but sometimes it kind of falls down to that. Like it really does. Like I just am like, oh, I'd rather watch Sunday football than spend 20 minutes doing XYZ.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not going to say that doesn't play a factor either.
Do either of you guys have an accountability partner per se to kind of hold you accountable to a marketing plan? I mean, besides probably your coach.
You dickhead.
Yeah, I know. I'm yours, Brad. Speaking about it, people lately.
I kind of use my managing broker. I mean, he's a producer too. We kind of both do the same amount of, but not specifically to the marketing plan, but maybe I'll add that in kind of our meetings.
Yeah. Okay.
I've tried and thrown it out there with some of the agents in my office and just haven't had anybody really that wants to stick to it.
Yeah. How many agents are in your office, Stephen?
So we probably have, I would say, somewhere between 250 and 300 under our umbrella, and about 6 that actually show up to the office.
Okay.
That sounds about normal, by the way. All right. We ready for the last topic?
Yep.
All right, little fun one here. We were on our EXP big mastermind on Monday, and recently one of the topics was kind of like client appreciation, either events, activities, certain gifts, certain times a year. Kind of curious what you guys, is it something you do? I'll be very first to admit, like I think I'm a big time slacker in my career in client appreciation stuff. Like even the stuff I do, I don't think I've been consistent with it. I don't think I've done probably enough. And I think there's definitely value in that. And Vince, I had definitely a conversation on this recently that our goal now that going into next year, probably even towards the end of this year, I think we're still going to try and get something in for the fourth quarter, is some type of actual client appreciation event. So I know some things we've thrown out are, obviously we're not probably going to do this winter, but like just bringing a grill over to the office, inviting clients to stop by between certain hours. We're in a strip mall currently. We'll find out soon if we're going to be here much longer, if we're moving. But we're in a situation like this, something not only for your clients, but then people going into the different stores and stuff, hey, what's all this? Come grab a burger, come grab a hot dog, whatever. What are some things that you guys have done, looking at doing, and do you see the value?
Yeah, 100% see the value in it. I've been horrible with that myself. Some of the stuff I've been throwing out there, I've been wanting to do, but just haven't done. But idea that's been run through my head was like a cigar and whiskey night.
Can I come?
I like it.
Sounds like a good flight to Arizona.
It sounds like a flight to Arizona. If we can add golf to that, I'm there.
Hey, we can make that happen.
So.
I've done in the past one event, and it kind of was my intention to do more, and then that was 2019, end of 2019 or whatever. But it was like there's this place, and you can rent it for a couple hours, and it's got a bunch of bounce houses. So I invited like past clients and friends and stuff with kids, and just the kids could kind of play in the bounce houses, and I could kind of talk with the parents a little bit, and led to a deal at least. So I guess it was worth it. And then might look into like a holiday one for this year. But the big one I want to do next year is we have a minor league baseball team, and you can if you on a per person basis, it's actually it comes out to like 60 or 70 bucks a person. And that includes like all the food and drinks. So I might do some sort of event like that and start small and maybe split like a 50-person thing with my managing broker, each bring 25 people. So
I never did this. Brokerage I was at previously did this, so I thought this was pretty cool, and I thought the cost would be pretty high, but it really wasn't. The brokerage rented out a movie theater one night, Each agent, they divide up for the number of seats that are available. Each agent got to ask, like, basically they had a certain number. They had to factor in like whether they were bringing their kids or just the adults or whatever. They basically said, you have this many seats, and let the agents invite. I thought that was pretty cool. They actually got it a pretty good deal. Like, it was not super expensive, but it's probably sounded really expensive. I thought that was a good one, something I want, we'll probably look at. So it was a cool idea.
Brad, I'm not a fan. Sorry. I'll ixnay it already. Not doing movie theater. Let me tell you why. What happens when you get to a movie theater? Everyone sits in a dark room and watches a movie. It is not a social event. Where Ryan's bouncy house, kids are bouncing, parents have to socialize.
Challenge accepted on the not social, because it was a social event.
Hey, Ryan, so let me ask you that, your bouncy house idea, what was the cost to do it? And did you get a good return on investment on it? You said you got one deal out of it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like, I want to say it was like $250 to rent it for like 2 hours. And then I spent like $100 on pizza, and then a lender split it with me. So it was like $150 like for each of us. And a lot of it was, I was still kind of earlier on in my career. So a lot of it was just like some friends that I'd had for a while. Some had done deals with me. And then I invited like a couple people that I had recently done deals with that I didn't know, and they showed up and kind of had a good time. And so, it got people talking at least. So.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I think anything where the kids could be active,
yeah,
get the parents away from being, having to watch them and being involved, I think is really cool. Another one that I like that came up in our mastermind group on Mondays was pictures with Santa. Someone, got a photographer to come and set up in a room with like kind of some holiday decor, and rented a big fat guy in a beard and did family pictures with Santa. I thought was a pretty cool way to like get families through through. So Ryan, are you willing to get the beard great for me? You knew I was coming with that, huh?
Yeah, I could put some temporary dye in it or something and get the
there we go. So white.
Yeah.
And then another event that came up I thought was pretty neat. There's a place in Lake Geneva by us, but it's like a board and paint, but they do like wine and painting. So you rent a big hall and someone teaches you how to paint, a sunset on a beach, but it's just a great way to get people involved. What else are you guys thinking for client appreciation? What do you guys do for like client? Either of you guys do like client appreciation gifts or anything like that? Or I've heard of agents sending out, there's gift cards out there where they scan a QR code, then they can redeem like a $10 Starbucks gift card or something. But then you only pay for it when people redeem them. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Interesting. I have to look into that one.
We did a Dairy Queen that we set up a Dairy Queen one summer, and it was like kind of like an open gift card essentially. And then Dairy Queen at the end of each month, we just ran it for the summer. It was your response to the youth baseball. The kids could go there and get ice cream afterwards, and Dairy Queen just billed us once a month. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. So you could definitely do something like that with clients. I thought that was fun. We got a lot of like parents like texting us and emails like, dude, that was super nice, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm like, oh wow, cool. You want to buy a house?
I use this thing called AM Cards, and it's like I think it's like $40 a month, but you get like a credit to like mail stuff, and then you can like mail. You can mail just like a thank you card or a happy birthday card or a whatever card. Then you can include gifts with it. So I'll send it to like. I'm gonna send one out to a client who just started her own real estate firm, like with like 2 brownies, and a congratulations. And the brownies are delicious. They sent me a sample when I signed up for it. So I kind of do that just to like, as just random, you know, hey, happy home anniversary. Here's a couple brownies or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
I've heard people do, I've heard of do like during the holiday season, the pie pickups, like Thanksgiving pumpkin pie pickups, the apple pie pickups, stuff like that. They seem to like that, or they'll do drop offs, like go to the homes, which is kind of cool. And again, that's all stuff you just gotta. It's sometimes I think it sounds expensive, but you go to the right place to get it, and because you're ordering such bulk that you end up getting really good deals on it.
I mean, our brokers, we've done the Costco pies. Just pumpkin or apple pie, and
Yeah.
That's
What
what,
do those usually run you, Steven?
I haven't done it. I've seen other agents do it. I'm assuming they're probably about $10 a pie. But if you can do that and use it as a point to also kind of verify client address, client information, $10 a lead is pretty cheap.
Yeah, 100%. What about any of you guys do closing gifts? So you guys go to close. What's that look like?
Depends on what it is. My buyers, I always let them know I'm going to get their first year of home warranty for them. Unless it's
very nice.
Yeah.
You blanket that regardless of price point?
For the most part, yeah.
I mean, I know you got a 420 average price point, so it's not like it's killing you, but
I mean, it cost me $500.
Right, but I mean, like I'm talking like our market's not huge, but like I know people have average price points in their markets of like 200, 250 still.
Yeah.
A $400 or $500 home warranty gets awful expensive then, but your average price point, you could definitely absorb that cost very well.
Yeah, and they don't, on the buyer side, they don't really get much more than that.
Sure.
Sellers, I kind of tailor it to what their personality is. Like, everybody always gets a Yeti. Whether buy or sell, they always get a Yeti unbranded. So they'll actually use it. And my goal is if they use it a lot, they think of me when they use it.
I think they're just thinking of the Yeti. Why don't you brand it?
I don't know. I don't know. Theory on it. I'll try that in the next round.
I'm telling you right now, I know these both guys are going to agree with me. Brand that. Somebody gives me a free Yeti, I don't care. There's a middle finger. In fact, I have a glass with the middle finger on it, and I use it. So.
You're welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
I walk around with branded, cups or mugs or whatever that I've never even done business with. I just like won it in a raffle or something, and it's just a really cool thing. Yeah, I would definitely brand that.
Start branding those, dude. Totally.
Yeah. Well, hey Ryan, what about you? What do you do for buyers and sellers at closing?
I've slacked on that for the past year. I used to have this artist that would draw like a sketch of their house, and it was like $75, and people.
Oh wow,
cool.
And then I moved, like she moved, and I haven't been able to find another artist that does that. So
that's pretty bad. That's badass though. That's pretty.
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, people, and it was like I found a guy on Fiverr that kind of did it, but it was digital and it like didn't look as good. So I've been on the search for another artist, but I mean, and they were really, I mean, for buyers, it was nice, especially for sellers who like, some seller, they built the house and lived there for 30 years and it's like a little keepsake. And then for buyers, especially if it's their first home, they're like, they have it, you go and you go to sell it and there's the picture on the wall that, you gave them when they bought it. So
pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. I like that. Okay.
Cool.
Anything else, guys? We're getting close to the top of the hour, so there's nothing else. Give you a few minutes back today, but yeah, I think good conversation. I know I got some cool things out of this, so I appreciate you guys' time today.
Hey, quickly though, continue to invite Stephen. We had an invite. She didn't join us today, but Stephen invited agents. Continue to invite agents. Get them to join. We're coming up with topics. We definitely want topic ideas from you guys, everybody, whether you've been on the call, been on the session or not. Definitely want the ideas, but then keep inviting people. the more people you're on, the more ideas we hear. I mean, it's the mindsets. It's a mastermind group. So the more ideas we hear will come with more people on here. So keep the invites coming. Just email them their name and their email address to Vince, and he'll add them to the invite.
Hey, Brad, can you send me the info on that Racine property?
Oh, yes, thank you. I just got some additional information today that we were waiting for too, regarding the roof special assessment. So
I'm trying to, I got my one friend that's got his 37 footer. I'm trying to talk him into buying it.
sweet. All right. I like it.
Go.
Cool.
All right, I'll send stuff over. Thanks.
See you.
All right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah.